Okay, I'm going to do this in sections because I'm a busy guy. I got a place to go and things to do. The first thing I want to say about inking is that I can codify all the steps that I do and the reasons I do things, the way I do. But when it comes to where to put the lines and where to put things, those are creative interpretations. There is no substitute for experience, and having done this for a very long time, I can tell you when I started out, that was my big question. Where do I put the lines? How thick should the lines be? How many lines should there be? How long should they be? This is something I hope to show in these videos, but yeah, I really can't say, okay, when the light is coming from this direction, the lines go towards the light. They don't always. Or if the shape is curved this way, the line should follow the shape around that way. That's not necessarily true. But that said, there are a couple things that are pretty standard. And a couple of rules. And those rules, of course, get to be broken all the time. Okay, let me just turn this so that I can see. And I'm inking where I think I am. Okay, and rule number 1 is ink the blacks first. Ink the flat black areas first. If you go ahead and start hatching right away, you will almost always regret it. You will want to redo those hatches. It's something about knowing where the hatches are supposed to go, and depends a lot on where the blacks go. Now, looking at this, as I said before, this is not a completely finished sketch. I'm not sure exactly where I want all of the blacks to go, but I am sure where I want some of them to go, and that will inform subsequent decisions that I make in this drawing. Now I'm going to start out very carefully. I don't want to just go whole hog, just black, 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 black. I'm just not that secure in this particular drawing in particular where I want all those things to be. Having drawn all these lines everywhere, I have some good idea where I want many of them to go, and at least the small ones, small areas. So let's see, aim that where I'm working. I'm going to just start putting in some of the blacks that I'm absolutely sure of. I know that there is bright light coming from this direction. That's why he's got a highlight along his arm and along his leg. And this made-up, invented tentacle right here is also, I've decided also, is going to catch a highlight right there. So I can put a little bit of black right there. I'm absolutely positive about that. Now I'm also sure that this part of his leg will be in black as well. Will not be having any highlights, but it will blend. And as I understand, as I interpret this to look like right here, this in his knee right here, it'll go from dark to light. So I'm just gonna pull a line and do it again. This might very well be wrong. I hate starting out with hatching. It's just dangerous. But I do have a nice crisp line right there. Follow that. Have this bump, this little fold in his clothing. And since it bumps up higher, I'm going to have pull the lighting over a bit on that. Inking, really good inking, I think, is all an interpretation of lighting, for the most part. Now here's how I like to pull a hatch line from thin to thicker, because then I can really control the thinness that I'm after. I can control the line better. For example, right there, I did the opposite. It didn't end up very thin. But here, if I start thin, I can get it super thin, and in the end I can have it blend perfectly where I'm trying to have it blend. It's all about control. Now, a lot of artists, most artists, are comfortable using a variety of hatching techniques. I am not. I prefer to constantly use a single hatch. Just a single hatch, no cross hatching. I'm not going to do any hatching across this line here. Now I'll get into that more as I go along. But pull your line thin. You can figure out as you pull it where you're going to blend it into the black. Notice too that I have already drawn in pencil many of these hatch lines. Okay, I have a black here coming together with a black there. I'm not sure if I want them to merge. They are two separate objects, so I'm going to keep them apart for now, knowing that later on I could just fill in the little space between them. They are two separate objects, and I may need that clarity. But it also may create too many little white shapes inside there, making the drawing less readable in that section. So I'm just going to leave that open for interpretation later on. And now I'm filling in the black with the brush. This is one of the reasons I like the brush. The main reason is the variety of line weights I can make with a single pull. I can go from super pencil thin to very thick. Inking is a lot like shooting a gun. You want to, and a lot like lifting weights, in that you want to control your breath as you do it. At least the way that I do it, which tends to be extra super careful. So I'll take in a breath, but not too big a breath. I'll take in enough breath so that I can exhale most of it as I pull the line. And my breath is almost being held at that point. There. I'm very nearsighted, so I can just look over my glasses and get really, really close and totally perfect these lines. A lot of inkers, especially ones who do very elaborate inking, if you look really closely, you'll find that their lines are not very clean, and that's certainly the case of my lines.